Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I am discussing few more questions from the paper NDA 2 2022 Mathematics. Yes, set A questions we are discussing. So I would like to very first discuss the question number 4, which was left over from the previous part, which is about finding out the right statement out of the two given statements. So statement number 1, there is a f defined on z cross z. They try to define with this rule f of x into y is equals to x minus y. Understand? This is the first element of the ordered pair and second element is x minus y. So the formula of the function is f of xy input giving the output x minus y. If this is so, check will this formula define a function from z to z. You must know that the definition of the function that every input you give there must be unique output. So if you can establish a counterexample, then definitely you will verify that this formula will not define a function. And it is so because here they are asking us to check is this a function or set of integers. So I am taking x is equals to 2 and y is equals to 3. Then f of 2 into 3 is f of 6, which will map on to 2 minus 3, that is minus 1. But when I take x is equals to minus 2 and y is equals to minus 3, then too I would get the input 6. Because minus 2 into minus 3 going to give you 6. And that time the output would be minus 2 plus 3. That would be 1. So what you got? You got that 6 is mapped on to minus 1 and 6 is mapped on to 1. Means the same input 6 is getting mapped onto minus 1 and 1, which are like two different outputs for the one input, which is impossible in case of function. So hence this formula, this relation is not a function from z to z. So the first statement is wrong. Now what about the second statement do you think? Will this formula f of x into y is equals to x plus y would be a function from n to n? Yes, I would say because n to n it is. Okay, so there is a no chance that you will get the input set. Every time you try to take x and y of your choice from the set of natural numbers, you will get the unique input and unique output x plus y. So yes, then the relation f from n to n defined with this set formula f of xy is equals to x plus y will be definitely a function. If you have any query, please post me in the comment section. I'll clarify it. So yes, then statement 2 is correct. So what is the right answer for this particular question? Option number B. Alright, coming on to the next question now. Question number 11. So here we know that P and Q are roots of the quadratic equation and we know that the C is positive in this equation. And you also know that P square plus Q square minus 11 times PQ is equals to 0. Then what is the value of P minus Q? Well, just concentrate on what they given and try to get the unknown. In this formula, you can get the simplification as 2PQ minus 2PQ minus 9PQ is equals to 0. So these three terms going to give you the binomial P minus Q the whole square, that is equals to 9PQ. Taking square root on both sides, you will get, yes, the 3 root over PQ. Now what is PQ? Product of P and Q, which are two roots of the given equation. You know that the relation between roots and the coefficients. So product of roots P into Q will be C by 1. So C. So basically this will be 3 times root C. Okay, 3 times root C. And root C is properly defined. It's a real number because C is positive. So hence the ultimate answer P minus Q value results to 3 times root C. That's the option number A. So let's talk about the question number 12 now. What is the diameter of a circle which is inscribed in a regular polygon of 12 sides? Means already you have a polygon, okay, which is of 12 sides and inside that the circle is inscribed. Means the circle is touching the sides of the regular polygon. So the situation will be like this. So such a 12 sides it has. So I'm just talking about this one side. So definitely the center of this regular polygon and the center of the circle coincide and this is becoming the R, the radius of the circle. Okay, so you can see that if you try to connect the vertices with the center, you can have such triangle traced for you where the circle is like cutting maybe here. So you have a triangle clearly there, that in that triangle, this height of the triangle is like a radius of that circle, and you are asked the diameter. Then after finding r, you have to find 2 times r. That would be the answer. Now to find this r, you know that the polygon is of 12 sides. So understand now, this total angle of 360 degree will be divided into 12 parts. So the each part, the each angle, like this angle will be of measure 30 degrees, the total angle. Now as you have drawn this perpendicular from the center onto the sides, which is a radius of the circle, this is making the equal half for that angle. So basically now you have this portion of this figure. This angle is 15 degrees, and this angle definitely 75 degrees, because the triangle has to be satisfy the property, angle sum property of a triangle. 75 plus 75 plus 30 equal to 180, right? And here is this r, and how much would be this? See, the total was how much? 1. So this remaining part is, hence the half part is 1 by 2, that is 0.5. So you can clearly then apply the sine rule, because you know two angles and you know one side and one side is unknown. So you know that then sine of 15 divided by opposite side of the 15 degree, which is half, is equals to sine of 75 opposite to the side r. So if you calculate here, you are going to get the value of r. Let us come on to the next slide. So on to this now, sine 15 degrees, you know how do you calculate? Sine 15 is sine of 45 minus 30 degrees. When you calculate this by formula sine of a minus b, sine a cos b minus cos a sine b, when you do it, you are going to get root 3 minus 1 by 2 root 2. And then you have sine of 15 degrees, and then sine 75 also. No, sine 75, what do you do? Sine of 45 plus 30. So this, yes, definitely root 3 plus 1 by 2 root 2. Take these two values and substitute in this formula what you got. So sine 15 root 3 minus 1 by 2 root 2 multiplied to half in the denominator, then root 3 plus 1 by 2 root 2, right? Then there is r. So 2 root 2 term is getting cancelled. So what do you get on the next line? You will get r is equals to root 3 plus 1 upon root 3 minus 1, and there was half which was in the left hand side. This half will get multiplied on the right hand side. So here still there is half remaining. So if you rationalize the denominator now by multiplying and dividing by root 3 plus 1, the numerator going to be 3 plus 1 plus 2 root 3, and denominator will be root 3 square minus 1 square, which is 2, and then you have there 1 by 2. So definitely you have 4 plus 2 root 3 by 4. 4 plus 2 root 3 by 4. So you can simplify this by taking 2 common from the numerator. So 2 plus root 3 by 2 is the value of r. But what would be the diameter? Diameter is 2 times the r. So 2 times, when you make it, this denominator will get cancelled and you get the answer 2 plus root 3, and hence the option C for this particular question. Coming on to the next question, number 13. Here you know the set A, and the function is defined from set A to set of natural numbers, such that the rule of the function is the output for the given input x is that the highest prime factor of that particular input. So inputs are ready with you in the set A. You have to just calculate their highest prime factor. So what is the highest prime factor of 7? 7 is a prime number, so 7 itself. What is the highest prime factor of 8? See, factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, 8. But out of that, the prime factor is 2 itself, which is highest. And then f of 9 similarly 3. Then f of 10, 5 will be the prime factor. F of 11, 11 is prime, so 11 itself. F of 12, you have 3, 4, 6. In that 3 is the highest prime. Then f of 13, for the input 13, the output would be 13 itself, because 13 itself is the prime factor of itself. And the f of 14, the prime factor largest, you get there 7. And f of 15, the largest prime factor will get 5. So basically you got all the required output for the given inputs you have in the set A, which is a domain set for the function. So what is the range? Range is basically set of all these outputs. What are the corresponding outputs? Write them in the ascending order. 2, 3, okay. Then we have 5, we have 7, we have 11, and we have 13, right? These are the numbers which are 6 in number. So how many elements are there in this particular range set of the F? 6. So option 6. 6, that is C. Alright, coming on to the next question, number 14. In this we have the relation R defined from n to n. R is defined from n to n, where x and y belonging to n. You are asked which of the following are not correct. So the first one you check, x comma x belongs to R. Is it correct for all x belongs to n? See, it will be correct when it satisfies the criteria x square equal to y cube. You choose any two numbers from n and try to verify. So basically when you say x comma x belongs to R, then it has to mean that x square is equals to x cube, because x equal to y here. So then it means that x square, you take common, x minus 1 is equals to 0. It means that x has to be 0 or x equal to 1. Means x square equal to x cube is true for only 1, because this is still not a natural number. So only 1 it is true. It's not true for all natural numbers. That's why statement 1 is wrong. What about statement number 2 do you think? If x comma y belongs to R, will y comma x belongs to R? No, not at all. You have an example. See, I'll tell you. X square, you take, what do you say, 16. Okay, 16 is 4 square. Okay, 16 is 4 square, which is 16 is 4 square, and 16 is also, can it be written as y cube? And is some number y cube? No, right? So I am taking 64 is a 4 cube. No, so I am taking another example where we can, demand such a relation easily. So I would like to take with the 8 square. 8 square 64, right? 8 square is 64 and 64 is itself 4 cube. So basically you establish that 8 comma 4 belongs to R. Now you have to check 4 comma 8 belongs to R. No, it will not, because 4 ka square will be 16, which is not equal to 8 ka cube. Right? That's why definitely the second one will not be true. So wrong. What about the third one do you think? X comma belongs to R, y comma z belongs to R. It will imply that x comma z belongs to R? No. You can simply verify this, because when you say x comma y belongs to R, x square will be y cube. And y comma z belongs to R, it will be means y square is equals to z cube. So ultimately, what is the relation between this x and the person z here? I mean the number x and z here. Replace the y value there. What do you get? Y is the 3 by 2 the power of z, right? So 3 by 2 the power of the z. So if you substitute that y here, so y cube z 3 by 2 into 3. So it will be 9 by 2 the power. So see the powers 2 and 9 by 2. We want the relation of x square equal to y cube format for x and z, like x square equal to z cube format, and we are not getting that. So clearly the third statement is wrong, and hence the answer, all the three statements are wrong. So option D. Alright, coming on to the next question, number 15. You are given two statements to verify again which of the above is or are correct. What is the first statement says? If you have A intersection B is equals to A intersection C, does it imply that B is equals to C? No. Let us take some example. Like let us take one example. Say AB 1 2 and BB 1 2 3 and CB randomly I am taking 1 2 3 4. So you can see that what is A intersection B here? A intersection B is 1 2. Right? What is A intersection C? Again 1 2. But did you see that B is equals to C? No, right? That's why first one is wrong. Similarly, you can establish the second one is also wrong, taking the suitable example, because when you want to say the statement is correct, or you can do the theoretical proof, but if you don't know the theoretical proof, you can always try for a counter example, like I was just explained to you, like I were explaining to you that I took a counter example to counter the statement, because it's not true for all the sets. Because I took ABC, which is satisfying this criteria they said, but B is equals to C we did not get. Same way, A union B is equals to A union C will not give the B is equals to C. Let me give another example for that. See, I am taking the sets now. Say A is equals to 1, 2, B is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4 and C is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I am taking. Okay, so I want to first check whatever I am taken, this satisfying or not. A union B, what would be A union B? 1, 2, 3, 4. It will be B itself. What is A union C? It will be C set. Okay, then I am going to change, because my given criteria is not satisfying. So I am taking here 1, 2, 3 and from C I am removing 3. Okay, I am removing Okay, I'm just taking the C set like this. 1 to 1 to 4 I'm taking. Okay, so what is now A union B? You see 1 2 3 4. And A union C, calculate A union C, 1 2 3 4. A union C, A union B, same, but you see 1 2 3 4 is B and 1 2 4 is C. Not equal, no. Hence both these statements are correct. No, they are not correct. So which option you will choose from this? Neither one nor two are correct. So option D is the right choice. Alright. Coming on to the next question now, which is like the given info you have to use to answer for three atoms. Okay, one after the other. So you have a complex number Z for which you are asked the modulus. Look at the complex number. You have a numerator in it, which is again a kind of complex number. Denominator also a complex number, but note it's a conjugate of the numerator. So you must remind the property mod of Z1 by Z2 is equals to mod Z1 by mod Z2. Okay, so modulus of this particular complex number you will calculate by applying property mod of the numerator upon mod of the denominator. And by the way, numerator and denominator were conjugates of each other. You know that mod of Z is equals to mod of Z bar fact. So when you apply this, so this is equals to 1. Simultaneously, you need not sit for calculation of it. So option A. Coming on to the next question, they say there that what would be the angle theta when you know that Z is purely real. Now what was Z? Let me copy down for you. It was 1 plus I sin theta upon 1 minus I sin theta, which is like division of two complex numbers. And you are asked to check this will be purely real for what theta. So you have to first give the standard form to this complex number. So do the conjugation. So 1 plus I sin theta, multiply and divide. What do you get by multiplying 1 plus I sin theta? Numerator you will get 1 plus I square sin square theta, which will be minus sin square theta, and plus 2I sin theta, and denominator will be A square minus B square identity, and because of I square it will become plus. So 1 plus sin square theta. So real part you can see, imaginary part you can see. When it will be purely real? When the imaginary part is 0. So what is imaginary part? This. So 2I sin theta upon 1 plus sin square theta has to be 0. So this is a positive number, becomes 0. So ultimately you want 2 sin theta equal to 0, which means that sin theta equal to 0, for which theta has to be n pi. You know sin theta is 0 for n times pi. So option C is the right choice for this, because n is an integer. For any n pi, sin theta is 0. So hence. And next they say that if you want the purely imaginary, then what should be theta? So for purely imaginary, the real part that we got 1 minus sin square theta upon 1 plus sin square theta has to be what? 0, so that it will be purely imaginary. So this is going to give you the equation sin square theta equal to 1, which corresponds to sin square pi by 2. So you have to recall a formula that sin square theta is equals to sin square alpha if and only if theta is equals to n pi plus or minus alpha, where n belongs to set of integer. This is a formula of set of solution for equation of this kind. Now we have got such equation here. So that's why what would be the answer here? Alpha is pi by 2. So your theta will be n pi plus pi by 2 I am taking. So it is, if you simplify by making the LCM 2, so it will be 2n plus 1, pi is common in the numerator. So option B. Hopefully it is clear to you. Coming on to the next question again, and now this question is like 3 atoms you have to answer. And this is the info that there is a P, which is the sum of first n positive terms of an increasing arithmetic progression A. So let us say for this progression A, the first term is small a and the common difference B small d, and there is another Q, which is the the sum of the first n positive terms of another increasing arithmetic progression B. For this I am taking first term to be B and the common difference to be D dash. Alright. So and they given the ratio for the sum of n terms for both of them. P by Q is 5n plus 4 upon 9n plus 6. It is given. So first question, 19th question onto this para, they say what is the ratio of first term of A to that of B? So first term, you know that S1 is equals to A, S1 is equals to B for both of them, right? So yes, then directly if you take up the ratio, S1 you can easily find by putting n equal to 1. So your first term ratio, that is A by B ratio, would be just replace n by 1. You're going to get that particular ratio for A to B. right? So what do you get? 5 plus 4, 9, 9 by 15, which is 3 5s are, 3 3s are. So the required ratio of first term to first term for both the progressions is 3 is to 5. Okay, 3 is to 5. Coming on to the next question onto it. Now they say, tell us what is the ratio of the 10th terms. See, basically you have P by Q, which is sum of n terms. Sum of n terms ratio. But now from this ratio you have to extract 10th terms ratio. So first of all you write the formula for sum of n terms in AP, which is 2a plus n minus 1 d upon, here n by 2 will get cancelled for both of them, because the formula will be n by 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 by d. For both of them we are talking about the same number of terms ratio, so n by 2 will get cancelled. So I'm just writing the bracket part. Denominator 2b plus n minus 1 times d dash. This is equals to 5n plus 4 upon 9n plus 6. Now you want to convert this ratio so that it work for 10th term. So first of all you get rid of this 2 by taking 2 common from numerator and denominator. So you will get n minus 1 by 2 d, right? And for the second denominator you will get n minus 1 by 2 d dash is equals to 5n plus 4 by 9n plus 6. Your intention is to make this is multiplied to d 9, because you know 10th term of an AP, a plus 9d is the 10th term, no, a10. So you have to replace n minus 1 by 2 by 9. So this means n has to be 2 9s are 18 plus 1, 19. So just substitute the 19 there. So your required answer here, the sum of a10 by, okay, a10 by b10 will be 5 into 19 plus 4 upon 9 into 19 plus 6. What do you get? 5 into 19, 19 5s are, 5 9s are. Okay, then 5 plus 4, 95 plus 4 by 19 9s are. Then you have 171 plus 6. So you are getting 99 upon 177. Reduce this number. 3 3 3 5 3 9, 33 by 59. So you are getting option C there. Alright, hopefully you understood the logic of this solving problem. Now coming on to the last question of this session, which is on to the same paragraph we studied. They asking you to judge what about the common differences for the first AP, which is denoted by A, second AP denoted by B. Okay, they have also asked us to take the small d as a common difference of A, capital D as a common difference of B. But in my solving I took it as D dash, because it was not said before. So I took myself. So coming on to this particular question, so you want to judge the differences. See, difference you know when you know at least two consecutive terms of an AP. First term ratio already you know, A by B ratio in hand by solving previous question. So if you now can solve for the second term ratio, then you can judge the common difference. So second term, for this you come on to the logic of the 10th term ratio. N minus 1 by 2, you want that to be 1. So that it will be becoming second term, because second term of AP is A plus 1D. This will be the second term, no? So n minus 1 by 2 you want, n minus 1 by 2 you want, 1 means n is equals to 3. N is equals to 3. So you substitute that, so you will get A2 by B2 ratio. What do you get? 5 into 3 plus 4 upon 9 into 3 plus 6. So A2 by B2 ratio you are getting 15 plus 4 upon 27 plus 6, that is 19 by, how much you are getting? 33. So you can see then the small d will be A2 minus A, which is 19 minus 3 is 16. Capital D is like B2 minus B, 33 minus 5, which is 28. So you can clearly see that the capital D is bigger than small d. Capital D is bigger than small d. So hence the option A. Alright, hopefully the solutions are clear to you. Stay tuned. I'll be keep getting the set of questions from this paper